to join the story that God is telling, we have to choose what kind of city we want to live in. Because the city that God is building, and God wants to build, and He will build, won't have certain things in it, won't have sin, won't have the kind of obstacles that keep us from loving one another the way God intended. And so in this episode of Kingdom Over Coffee, Ash and I are talking about another chapter of Zechariah chapter 5. And it looks on the outside like it's judgmental and it's a little dark because it's about sin, and our modern culture isn't as comfortable with that as maybe we should be in order to change. But we're going to talk about why the angel and God highlights the sin that He's dealing with in this chapter. We're just going to scratch the surface on some level, but it's a great conversation and I hope you check it out. But first, I want to talk about the sponsor that we have for this episode, Confined Space Coffee. A new friend of mine, Matt, started this company pretty recently, and he has a vision to reach out to and serve coffee and sell coffee to people who work in confined spaces in construction and other sorts of industries. And then the money that he gets from the coffee sales, he gives in missions to people who are in bondage of one sort or another, sex trafficking or addictions. I think he's focusing primarily on sex trafficking right now. So you can go on to the website for Confined Space Coffee, and you can get 10% off your first order when you put in a magic code at checkout. For Kingdom Over Coffee, it's KO Coffee. So KOCOFFEE. Put in that code at checkout and you'll get 10% off. You'll support a great cause and you'll get some great coffee and you'll just be a blessing all around. So go ahead and do that. And as usual, remember to like and follow and share the podcast. Give it 5 stars. Check out the links and things in the show notes, because I'll put the link to the copy and I'll put links to books and some other resources for you in there. All right? God bless. Well, welcome back to Kingdom Over Coffee. I'm back with my friend and brother, Ash. How you doing, Ash?
I am chilling, man. It's
a
nice summer so far.
It is a nice summer. Mm-hmm. You guys got summer plans?
Yeah, a little bit. The family's traveling some, and then...
that's right. They're going away.
Yes, yeah. And I'll hang back with the little two, take care of the smaller two. But trying to get into some good rhythms, honestly. I was looking at... thinking about life on the drive over here, and I was like, I think some of our wrestles are just our lack of rhythms.
Yeah.
And so my plan will be this summer to get us back into some rhythms around fellowship, connection, communion, family meals, those kind of different things that we get lost in. Mm-hmm. Our family does easily. So,
and I think summer is a difficult time to find those rhythms because you feel like you're constantly interrupted, or it's so open. Whereas like when you're during the school year, there's already a structure there, already a schedule there, so it's easy to just be structured. And it's kind of difficult sometimes to have the mindset that, we need to create our own, like you're saying, create our own rhythms.
Yes.
That's really valuable.
Yes.
So we didn't talk about this before we started recording, but I really liked it on Tuesday. So at our church, we have regular prayer times. We have 24/7 prayer, actually, but there's one of the prayer meetings that I go to is one of the main ones, I guess, on Tuesday afternoons for, whatever. And but there had been this rainstorm, and before I left, and I went, and then the power was out, and some of the stoplights and stuff were out. And when I get there, everybody was in the lobby area. And so I guess the sound went out or whatever. And like lights were on, but I guess something, whatever, was broken. Not broken, but not working. And
we didn't know if the power was going to go out again because it was still storming.
Oh, too. Sure. Yeah. And it really just happened fast because it was kind of done after like just like this dump of rain. Anyway, it was just kind of a cool thing because there was just acoustic guitars and voices and no artificial whatever, sound things like it's no sound system or anything. And it was a cool vibe. I really dug it, so I really liked it.
Yeah, it was really sweet, and just the opportunity to hear our voices together singing to Jesus. And a lot of it was love songs and having that intimate affection for Jesus together corporately as a community. In those moments to say we don't have to have the sound system, we don't have to have the air conditioner or whatever. Like we're really here for intimacy and worship and affection and to do that together. So it was really sweet. I was in tears.
No, I dug it.
Yeah.
That's, again, nothing's anything wrong with the sound system or whatever. It's just, it's, it isn't, I don't know whether God does it, how much, well, God does everything on purpose, but I don't know how much, he needed to teach, but I think he does that sometimes to say, what you going to do? What are you going to do without it?
Yeah.
And he kind of makes you pivot a little bit and reminds you the core reality of what you're about, what the community's about. Anyway, and I just like acoustics, I just like the sort of more intimate feeling of that.
And for me, it was like even more revealing. Oh, this is really who we are.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you'll have the moment you'll get tested and be like, I didn't think this is who I was or who we are when you get tested in the moment. And then there are tests that's like, oh, you killed it. This is actually who you are. You really do know this.
Right.
We knew how to get there and where to go, So.
Right. Because a lot of churches, and I think this was tested during COVID, but I think a lot of churches would say, oh, it's not about the building. It's not about the luxuries. It's not about the chairs. It's not about the color carpet. It's not about that church. Church is a people, not a place. And I mean, they would say that stuff, but then like you're saying, when you're tested in it and said, all right, well, here's the plot twist. Now you don't have it for a week or a day or 6 months or a year. Like what are you really about? And I don't know that a lot of churches learned what they were supposed to learn.
Yeah.
But I think, and I'm not saying what happened with closing down churches was all correct necessarily, but I think God uses it.
Yeah.
And he's trying to use it.
You know what I think is just as much as a plot twist as COVID was? AI.
Oh, it's getting there.
Yeah. Like it is really revealing the heart. And I think it will continue to reveal the heart of what we rely on and how we use it in the church. Mm-hmm. Because it's a game changer in saving time. But what will we do with the time that will we use it just to do more, or what will we do with it?
Yeah.
And so, to me, it's just as much. I don't want to move too much. Everybody can have their own eschatological positions and whatnot. I lean heavily pre-trib, open to be wrong, but it is just as profound of a birth pain to me as COVID was, because it's accelerating knowledge in such a rapid, intense way, like Daniel talks about.
Yeah,
and to see Google searches go down.
Oh, ChatGPT is a new Google,
right?
If it hasn't already, it's going to overtake Google. I mean, that's where people go to search.
Yes.
And even Google has, I mean, just to compete, has an AI component to it. And like they try to give you a little chat GPT answer when you ask a question. And then it'll give you the links and all the things. Yeah, I think part of the danger in AI, and we're not getting rid of it at this point. We're going to have to deal with it.
Yes.
And I do use it for things, but I think for me, the key is I teach my kids and I teach people when we use it, like, you're the human in the room.
Yeah.
Like this isn't, and I think the danger becomes when we replace what human interaction is supposed to provide. And that's where it becomes like, it's one thing to say, well, because in principle, it's not as different than me Googling something and then go researching it and coming up with the information.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then I'm the human.
Yes.
Like I need to decide, I need to discern, is this right? Is this correct? Is this useful? Is this healthy? Whatever. And I think the other thing that we've been losing this because of the internet and our cell phone, we don't work hard to get information. And there's something about achieving something you worked hard to get. You own it. Like, okay, so if I just on a practical level, think of the difference between me saying, asking ChatGPT, what are the 3 different viewpoints on the tribulation? Mm-hmm. What are the 3 different viewpoints on the rapture and the tribulation or whatever it might be? Oh, it'll give me an answer, and it'll probably be correct. Those are 3 correct. But practically, how much better is it for me to read the books and hear and go through the different arguments and take the time? Instead of 5 minutes, I actually put forth effort, and then I've looked up the scriptures myself, and you know what I mean? Like there's something tangible about that. And again, I see the value of quick, faster research
for a mature heart.
There you go.
And a mature heart knows the limitations of use.
Right.
And what I have to know even deeper for myself when I use this search is this still, that is just, ChatGPT for me is just a starting point to go deeper into things that I want to think deeply about.
Right.
More than it is like the ending point. And if it's used as the ending point, then.
Or even the beginning point. You know, so like when I write articles, I don't say, what should this article be about?
Oh, yeah.
Like I already, I come up with an outline.
Yes.
I know the scriptures I want to use. Now I might ask ChatGPT to give me the scripture and to make sure what's the reference when it says this? Like, but I've done that with Google.
Yes.
Like, it's just like, okay, I may not remember where it says, you know, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. I know it's in Hebrews, and I think it's in somewhere in 10 and 11 or somewhere. But just let me know for sure, because I'm going to have to put the reference in here. Like, that's a totally different thing than I want to do this Bible study, or I'm in charge of this Bible study. ChatGPT, you tell me, if you were a pastor doing a Bible study, what are the 5 topics? Like, you know, it's not the same to me, but to our younger generation, it is the same.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yes, because I don't want shortcuts. I want help.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between those two things. What you were saying about the emotional piece, it freaked me out. Like, for real, when I read a message based off an upgrade from ChatGPT about me and my searches, and I felt something. And I went into the settings, started asking questions, because it said it affirmed me in some ways that I'm like, you affirm things that I don't know if I even have heard people affirm about me, but it's picking up all the data off of my searches that no one else would know things that I'm pondering about and thinking about other than the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I don't have the affirming voice of the Lord, oh my goodness, it's trouble.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
And so it just alarmed me. And it was like, whoa, like this. And I went in and asked questions like, hey, how much do you guys track usage based off of empathetic responses? And I felt comfortable with the response it gave back, but I'm still very cautiously suspicious,
right?
Because it could turn over at any point. Because this is not a God-fearing, not-for-profit, resource,
right?
So,
good.
Anyway,
so tonight you need to watch The Terminator and then Terminator 2: Judgment Day, just to make sure that you're prepared for.
And I'm sure there's some Simpsons episode out there.
Oh my God. Out of 842 episodes, there's got to be, or probably more than that by now. This has been on for 30 years. Good Lord.
That in South Park, man, they got some prophetic elements
to
my their
gosh.
content.
For sure. And what's just as a writer, it's amazing to me that they can just keep coming up with stuff.
Yeah.
And they, I know they have some different writers. Well, Simpsons, they get some different writers through, but anyway.
Cool.
So that was everybody's AI little
rant.
speech today. But yeah, for me, it's, be the human in the room.
Yeah.
Just remember it's make sure it's coming from you, it's coming from God, and this can help.
Yeah.
But it's not that's my rule. And with my kids and as I talk with people, and I know people that do a lot of stuff that I'm not comfortable doing with it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am. So we're doing Zechariah 5 today.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of what we just said connects with Zechariah.
I think it might, because, part of what I'm thinking is just the heart. And we talked about the heart sometimes in the past, but as we're going through these chapters, I'm laying my heart before God and saying, and reading other of the prophets and saying, what do I really believe about you? Because you say some things in strange ways and in conclusive ways that I find challenging. So I need a heart of wisdom. I need a heart of openness. I need a heart of trusting in you to believe that this does not change Exodus 34. It doesn't, the ways that you're saying things doesn't change your graciousness, your mercy, your forgiveness. It is an extension of that.
Right.
And so having the heart to decipher how to use AI is the same thing as having the heart on how to decipher what's happening in these passages that we're looking through,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so let's get into it. It's Zechariah 5, and this one is, they're all interesting to me, but as we're going through it, just reset up the context here. Zechariah is writing this during a time where they are in the midst of rebuilding the temple. And so there's a lot of temple imagery that we're getting in here. And there's a lot of priesthood imagery. There's a lot of, all sorts of stuff happening. And so it's important to remember that element of it in context of its history, because if we just took this chapter by itself, it's going to seem really negative, right? It's going to seem really, I don't know about dark, but it's going to seem really negative. Mm-hmm. Well, God's just legalist or whatever. Yeah. He's just, God's sending wickedness on people. Like as you're looking at it, like you're saying, without looking at the broader context, you don't realize like, oh, they're trying to set up the temple and reestablish right worship, and these things don't belong there. Yeah. right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the context of what we're dealing with, because what happens first is Zechariah. I love the Bible sometimes. Like it makes me laugh. They probably didn't mean for it to make me laugh, but it's like Zechariah sees a flying scroll and the angel says, "What do you see?"
Yeah. Which is probably, it's for to be prophetic.
Right.
And to discern what God is doing. It's what Jesus said you need. You need eyes to see.
Good. And
we need to have the ability to comprehend what is before us. And God wants us to engage with, he doesn't want us to miss out on taking in, even if he's going to tell us, because that's what the angel does, end up answering the question.
Yeah.
But pay attention. What do you see? Are you looking?
Oh, good. Yeah. Interesting. And I think we would all say that if we had some sort of open vision where we saw some sort of flying scroll go across the sky, like of course I'm paying attention, like this is weird. But on a practical level, do we do the same thing in life?
Right.
Like you're saying, like do we, as we look at situations and we look at situations, do we say, okay, God, what's really going on here?
Be it AI. What do you see?
What's happening here? And we need, one of my mentors says all the time, what we need more than anything is what heaven is saying.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
I don't need what Trump or Biden or Jean-Pierre or whoever, whatever. Like, I don't need what these politicians, Elon Musk, I don't need what these people are saying. I need what heaven is saying, but then I can properly discern what they're saying. If not, I'm going to get caught up in one agenda or the other.
So good.
Not heaven's agenda.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to demonize anybody. I'm just saying, like, that's where we're citizens. We're already like, that's our citizenry. And so we have to and so I like that. So it's pay attention. And then God is faithful to reveal what we need to know.
Yeah.
And here he says, I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits and width is 10. So it's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
And he says, this is the curse that goes out over the face of the whole earth. And it's about the thief shall be expelled according to one side. So one side, there's two sides of the scroll. On one side, it's about every thief being expelled. And I don't know what version that is that you've got, but every perjurer shall be expelled according to that side of it. So they're going to be cast out over this is the whole earth. This isn't just Jerusalem. It's not just the temple. This is a rule about everything. And it's a curse.
Yeah.
I don't know. What does it say? Thievery or does it say
Say
lying?
thief. It says land, and then it says thief, the whole land. But what you're saying, I think, is applicable to the whole earth because it's talking about the known land of that time. So I'm with you, and this is God talking about everything that's around,
right?
And thief,
stealing and lying, essentially, right?
That's what we were talking.
Yeah. And so God's sending out this curse, and he says it will enter the house of the thief and the house of the one who swears falsely by my name. So these are two of the commandments, essentially. Although the second one probably mixes a couple. It shall remain in the midst of his house and shall consume it with its timber and stones. Now that to me harkens back to like Leviticus, where it's like if you see the mold or something on the house, like you tear down the whole house.
Yeah.
And so here we have this vision. It's about lying and stealing. Thoughts?
Yeah. It's comforting to me.
Okay.
That God would address lying and stealing, being the things that he wants to address and remove out of the midst of the people, because it's one of the things that keeps us disunified the most. If I have to think about, if you're going to lie to me in God's name and take from me as well too, it will, I have no other thought to do than to self-protect and guard myself if I think I'm at risk of you stealing and lying to me. And so I see God saying, I'm so for unity that I'm going to make sure that those who have projected and created this behavior is actually going to reveal to them how heinous it is, because it's going to turn back on them. Mm-hmm. You know, and so he's showing his justice at the same time of showing his mercy with removing it.
Right.
So it's really a beautiful picture of God upholding righteousness, justice, and community, and unity, and faithfulness, and the heart behind the law and the commandments.
So good. Because as we've already talked about, the idea for Israel was an expression of Eden redeemed.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind the promised land and Jerusalem. Like there's all this imagery we keep coming back to with Jerusalem and the temple and the Holy of Holies. And it's like, there's all this Edenic callback, and it's not a full Eden to come back to, but it's some expression of this is paradise on earth.
And this is where the story is headed.
And this is where the story is headed, for sure. Well, they may not have understood that in the beginning. Right. That's kind of what God is explaining, definitely explains in Zechariah.
Yeah.
And through, the latter half of the Old Testament and the prophets. Mm-hmm. But so there's a couple of things happening with this. It's not heaven on earth. It's not a paradise on earth if you're lying and stealing from each other.
Yeah.
Because to your point, I don't have neighbors.
Yeah.
I've got enemies beside me. I don't have a neighbor.
Yeah.
I don't have a brother. I don't have a sister. I don't have family. I don't have community. I don't have unity. We're not in this together. Mm-hmm. We're against each other. Mm-hmm. And no one wants that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking about it before of, what does it feel like to have to lock your door at night?
Right.
No one wants to have to do that.
Nope.
No one wants to have to sit there and question, like, I have to ask extra questions to figure out if you're really being honest. And are you using God's name for your own gain, or are you using it for his glory? Mm-hmm. And how deep and how personal have those experiences been for you that create such a desire for that not to be present?
Exactly. Yeah. How do we feel when somebody tells a lie about us? And by the way, I'm reading from the New King James, and it uses the word perjury. And that sounds to me like a legal term that has legal connotations to it, right? That's like, if you're up on the stand to bear witness of something and you lie in that spot, you are guilty of something. Like, there's a responsibility. And so it almost places upon whoever's reading this and the people of God that you have a responsibility to bear a witness to who God really is.
And that's it. It's the image of God inside of you. Because, that's what's so dynamic about the Yahweh tradition, because it affirms human dignity in a way that other traditions did not.
Amen.
And so this reaffirms again we're made in the image of God, and owe no man nothing but to love them. Like, we are due to show each other that designation by not doing some things as simple as lying and stealing from one another.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't be able to quote it exactly. I'll be like Jesus and say somewhere it is written. But in the New Testament, it's one of them where he talks about put off the old man and put on the new, and basically saying tell the truth and you love people.
Yeah.
Like if you lie to them, you're hating them. Like
Yeah.
I'm summarizing Paul's argument of putting off the old and putting on the new.
Yeah.
But basically in your old man lied to people, and that was hate.
Yeah.
Like you literally hate people when you lie to them.
Yeah.
And so God's saying, why would I let this in?
Yeah.
Why would I allow this?
Yes.
Why would a God of love allow you to hate one another?
Yeah. Yes.
Why would I do that?
Yes.
I have to love you enough to say no. And on a not a cosmic, but on a more epic scale, that's the lying and the stealing is what happened to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
That's why they were in exile to begin with. And that's almost the connection we get in the second half of this chapter of I'm removing the evil from what was supposed to be sacred.
Yeah.
What was meant to be sacred. And what's awesome about God is that's still not the end of the story.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, because as we'll get in, it not in this chapter, but in other chapters in Zechariah and just over and over through the Gospels, and God always gives a second chance.
Yeah.
He's always like, okay, but I'm going to bring you back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to make it even better than before.
Yeah.
So it's not a one and done thing, but what he's saying is like, man, if we're going to have right worship, we have to have right community. We have to have a right relationship. And just like it tore down the house of David and with Jeconiah and, Hezekiah and like all these kings that fell and did the things, it's going to happen to your house.
Yeah.
And no one wants that. I don't know if I told you this dream before. This reminds me of a dream I had. I think I have. Anyway, long, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Now, my kids were little. And I think we had all three. We might have only had the older two. But anyway, I had this dream, and I don't have a lot of dreams. Like, I don't have a lot of spiritual dreams. I do, but I don't have a lot. But this one, like, it's one of those ones where you wake up and you say, okay, what was that? That was something different. That wasn't just, me flying around with a cape on or something or whatever, and then getting ice cream.
This was a flying squirrel vision.
Yeah, this was something.
Yeah.
And in my dream, I was watching TV. And the house was falling down all around me. Like, all around me. While I was, like, totally distracted and engaged, being entertained. And, of course, I woke up and I'm like, what the heck? And, like, I went through a fast for, like, I don't know, until God told me not to. Like, I stopped buying DVDs. I stopped going to the movies in the movie theater. I stopped, like, I'm like, I don't want that. Like, and that's the way warnings are supposed to go with God. Like, God's not trying to say just, oh, this is bad and you're bad. He's trying to say, don't do this or else this is what's going to happen to you. And if you love somebody, you'll tell them that.
Right.
And you ever see that video with, what's his name? From Penn and Teller. I don't know if you know who they are. They're like a comedy team. They do like magic shows. They're like magic comedy stuff. Penn and Teller. It's like they got their whole little spiel, but one of them, I can't remember. I think it's Penn. He, taller guy, big guy. He's an atheist, and he's, at least he was then fairly clear about his atheism. He wasn't like mean about it necessarily, but like atheists are. I don't, what.
Yeah.
And he told a story. It's a great video. Everybody should check it out. He told a story about how after a show one night, there was a person that came up to him and said, look, I know you're an atheist. I know you don't believe, but I just really want to let you know Jesus loves you. And he handed him a Bible, like this whole exchange. And he said the guy was nice. He was kind to me. And, he just affirmed that this was a positive interaction. Like he wasn't trying to put me down. It's all about love. And he was just trying to, engage with me about something he believed. And this atheist said, if you believe that I'm going to hell, why aren't you telling me?
Yeah.
If you believe, like I don't believe this, but if you believe it, shouldn't you be telling people? Like, shouldn't this be like, if you love them, shouldn't that be part of your motivation to, what is it? 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, to plead with men, be reconciled to God, like to plead with people, like reason with them, like please, and that's what because that's the heart of God. Yes. That's why he sent his son. Yes. Like, this is not okay with me. Yes. That this is happening. Yes. I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to give. I'm going to act for this. And that's part of what's happening in here. And all right, more thoughts.
Like you said, like you're communicating, knowing God's heart, him communicating how bad things will be is his kindness.
Right. Yes.
And the stories that are ingrained into the Jewish culture in a different way than ours are, it is Genesis 1.
Good.
And it is God saying straight from the beginning, if you eat from this tree, you will surely die.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's actually kindness. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. And I'm asking you to trust. You don't need to know all the other details, but you can trust that I'm for you because I made a good place for you.
Right.
And so this communication to Israel is coming out of them being taken from captivity into the promised land, on top of having Genesis 1, the God who created everything good, very good. And so when these stories are being heard, they're asked to be heard within the context of the God that has revealed himself.
Right.
And many times when we read these passages like this, again, like you said, it's staggering because it seems like, especially you get to the next one and it's like, these women are, God, what do you think about women? If they're the ones that are portrayed here, not men carrying away this basket and different things like that. But the source stories are so important. The primary stories in Genesis are so important to understand the heart of God when you get to these passages.
Right.
And this is his kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, in Genesis 1, there was nothing wrong with Adam and Eve. Mm-hmm. He wasn't saying, you're bad, so that's why I'm warning you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, our flesh, the enemy, the world, might tempt us to interpret these sort of scriptures as, oh, well, God doesn't like you. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Did God really say that or whatever? It might tempt us to interpret it or frame it in a certain way. But he wasn't mad at Adam and Eve. He doesn't say that because he was mad at them or he thought they were just awful people. Right. And he just, you're just sinners at heart. Yes. It wasn't true about them. Yes. It's actually,
or I've made you to sin. I'm setting you up to fail.
Right. No.
Yeah.
But it's part of perfection.
Yeah.
To engage and warn. Good. It's actually a sign of redemption.
Say it again, like perfection. What do you mean? Like
completeness. It's a sign of it's a sign of perfection as far as this is the way it should be.
Yeah.
This is the right thing.
Yes.
This means your life is right.
Yeah. The fact that I told you what was about to happen is more of a sign that I am perfect and I am good. This is the way that life should be.
Yes.
You should know the cost.
Yes.
Of moving away from life.
Yeah. And our relationship is at a point I can tell you.
Yes.
Ooh. Like God said about Abraham, he's my friend. Can I really not tell him what I'm going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is our relationship with God so close that he can go, let me warn you about something?
Yeah.
And when I had a dream about me watching a video or whatever and my house falling down around me, I could have gone, well, I'm such a horrible piece of crap, and I'm just look at me. Wow. Or I could go, well, thank God.
Yeah. Or you could blame somebody else.
Or I could.
Somebody else is about to turn my house down.
Yeah.
And
Obama. I'm going to blame Obama. I just messed up.
Yeah.
Or Trump, or
Yes.
I'm just messing. I'm just,
Yeah.
Remember that was a joke.
Yes.
Obama did it or whatever.
Yeah.
That was that joke for a while. Because we blame the society and the man, and and I'm not saying people don't do oppressive things. I'm just saying, like, yes, there could have been a whole lot of different responses.
Yeah.
Instead of, you love me enough to warn me, and I love my family enough to change. Right? Like, okay, let's take that. And I don't know if I was even that conscious about it at the time, but looking back, like you're saying, is our relationship at the point with God that he can warn us, not because we're bad, but because he's trying to help us, and he's trying to,
And it gets to how soft is my heart? Because another way to look at this passage is, how much does it grieve me that God's name is being sworn upon falsely and that thievery is happening? How much does it grieve me? Or how apathetic am I to, like, believing that is actually possible and should be?
Right.
And so I can't really take in the goodness of what is being proclaimed here if I'm so apathetic and dulled to the lying and stealing that goes on among humanity, that it's like, this is just a part of life. And it's how desperate am I to see God's kingdom and God's will come to where we live peaceably together, and we don't have these egregious violations that, just desecrate our humanity with one another.
Right. I love it. That's so good. Well, let's finish out the chapter. I thought this was going to go shorter because it's a short chapter, but that was good. So as we talked about and mentioned a little bit, the rest of the chapter is this vision of there's a woman in a basket, and these two women with wings are flying and carrying this basket, and Zechariah asks, "What's in the basket? What's in the box? What's in the basket?" And it's wickedness, and he's taking it to. New King James says Shinar, but I think it's Babylon. He's taking it to Babylon. So there's a lot of symbolism here, but the vision is, are they angels? Are these female angels? I don't know. Right. Like, is this the first time in the Bible there's female angels? I don't know. But there's, or is he, is there some sort of, I know this is a horrible thing in some ways, but sort of like a Jezebel idea, like, is there some sort of like the impure woman, as a I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I lean towards that, I some people may think of that as like misogynistic, or like putting down women in that approach. But I think if you take the prophetic narrative together, you use he so much when it comes to
God,
and to the accuser.
I get it. Like,
so if we want to,
men are villains a lot.
Exactly. And so this is not about God trying to put gender against one another. It's him communicating the message that both men and women are broken in this, and we both play a part. And no one gets out.
Right, exactly.
And it's our own hearts that wouldn't be able to see it as everyone's redeemable as well, too, because he gives opportunity to all.
Absolutely.
And again, you put the Torah in the right context, and you see how woman affirming it was comparative to all the other cultures of his time. It's night and day difference. Now, that's not to say that God wasn't wanting more, but we see all of the story being progressive in God with his friends, giving people what they could handle at the time to carry them along the way into sanctification.
Absolutely. The fact that the Bible even mentions Sarah.
Yeah.
Much less gives her a name.
Yeah.
was odd in the ancient world.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you as a history major.
Yeah.
Like that did not happen. The fact that there's a whole book about a woman
Let's go.
who was a widow from a cursed nation. I mean, come on. Like, and not only names her, she's the hero.
Yeah. Let's go.
That's, I mean, like, there's so much in the scripture. Now, is it as compatible with the modern idea of feminism? Well, that's not my standard necessarily.
Right.
But I think it's a lot more
for sure.
in line than we think.
Yeah.
As far as what's real and healthy. So, no, totally. But no, I think the woman in the basket totally goes in line with the unfaithful bride imagery that we get in a lot of the prophets.
Yes.
From Hosea to it's just there's a lot to it.
And even in the wisdom literature, like you were saying.
Even in the wisdom literature, but also in the wisdom literature, wisdom is a woman.
Yes.
So God's heart and design is for women to be wisdom.
Yes. Yes.
And that's a role he wants them to play. He's designed for them to play because Adam couldn't do it without her.
Right.
Abraham wasn't going to do it without Sarah.
Right.
Maybe I need
Bible
another.
affirms her as right. Like, you should have listened to her in the first place.
Should have listened to her. I'm just saying, again, there's a lot of equality in that, but the woman being wickedness,
and we're saying that because we don't want us to miss out on what God is trying to reveal because of our modern issues with equality.
Sure. Absolutely. And I guess the question is, because I don't have the exact right answer, it could be both or more than two.
Yeah.
But so wickedness is wickedness, but is it the people of God? Is it Judah that was sent to Babylon? Because so it's not just, so not only is God removing the sin from his land, he's taking it somewhere.
Yeah.
To Babylon, so he can curse Babylon. Yeah. And we see that also in Jeremiah. We see that in Ezekiel. We see that in Nebuchadnezzar was allowed, and God used him for a purpose. But that doesn't mean God thought Nebuchadnezzar was doing the right thing,
right?
And he judged that guy too.
And this is what Romans talks about. What Paul says in Romans. God will give you what you want if you want it. And so if that's wickedness and what you want, I'll give you over to that.
Right.
So this city is not getting something that it does not want.
Oh, so good.
And so what's being carried over there, God is giving it over to its own desire.
Yes.
And God, that shows that God is a God of choice. Mm-hmm. In his sovereignty on how he chooses to move. But we're not without choice in this.
Right.
And it's the same thing with Pharaoh. Pharaoh hardened his own heart, and God hardened his heart by how he acted. And so what's going over to Babylon is not something that's being placed upon them based off their not wanting it. Yes, and
and you get some of that. It's not just the people of God, but it's the people. It's a wicked people.
Yes,
if you want to look at it that way, or just wickedness in general. And he says something. The angel says they're carrying it to Babylon, where when it is ready. So this is a developing thing. It will be set there. There's going to build a house. And this is going to be the foundation of the house, which I think is, again, I think you're talking about Babylon was actually built. Babylon wasn't built to be a paradise on earth.
Right.
God wasn't like raising up Babylon to be the new Israel or something. Like he was using Babylon, but knew that at the core there was a real problem there. And to your point about choice and warnings, I still find it's so human, but so ridiculous that Nebuchadnezzar has a dream that warns him about this big statue.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't know it's a warning necessarily, but it disturbs him.
Yeah.
He knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
He's about to kill people who can't tell him the dream. Like this is a disturbing thing to him. He knows it's a supernatural event. And Daniel tells him the purpose of the dream, the meaning of the dream, because in the dream, the statue becomes dust, is destroyed. The next chapter, he builds a statue.
Yeah.
What were you doing? Like what were you thinking? And to your point, like there was something at the core of Babylon, which is why you get Babylon still becomes a sort of symbol in Revelation.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. But there's something at the core of that's from a different source.
Yeah.
And so what I'm interpreting from this here, like, why would God tell them that? Well, it goes back to our point earlier. Ask God what's really happening.
Yeah.
God, because if you were a Jew of the day, you could easily be tempted to think, well, God must love Babylon. God must think Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar are the cat's meow. Right. Like they're the stuff, man. And God's saying, no, you have to know this is just going to fall. It's gonna, because what does he say about a house with lying? And it's just going to fall in on itself.
Yes.
And I'm going to tear it down.
Yes.
So he's warning them again, don't set your hearts on Babylon.
Right.
That's not what's happening here. And what do you think?
I think it's the alarm is like quaking in my heart, to where we don't realize how much wickedness is among us and how much we need God to take it out, to expose it. And usually when you see it from the outside, it's more alarming than what you can see in yourself. And so the fact that he's taking it out and taking it to a new place, and everyone knows what Babylon represents, like you're saying, wow, we didn't know that was so deeply in us. And it is the story of Israel, that Israel is just representative of all mankind and the nations, in that when they came out of Egypt, God voices to them, leads them out, and then within no time, they're creating an altar, and Aaron, who is anointed as a priest, is like, hey, give me all your stuff. Let's figure out a way to worship. It's like, what is...
And then lied about it. We just threw this stuff in the fire and out came a calf. I mean, yeah.
And so there's just as much... And what the whole story is communicating. Everybody needs me.
Yeah, so good.
And there really is one city that is going to be purified, and there's another city that's going to be full of wickedness. You get to choose which one you want to be in.
Oh, so good. And while you're living in that city, don't be of it.
Yes.
Because that was the test as you read through Jeremiah. And like Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah, right? He says, buy land there.
Yeah. Bless it. Pray for it.
Be with it. But you're coming back. And I think it's also Jeremiah, wasn't it? Where God had him redeem a plot of land.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is such a hopeful in Jerusalem or around Jerusalem.
Yes.
Because he's like, no, we're coming back.
Right.
I'm investing in the future reality, which is we might be in Babylon now, but we are coming back. I'm going to put my money and my effort and my time and look like a fool to show people this is what's going to happen.
Right.
I was proven right so far. I told you this was going to happen if you didn't turn, and this is what happened. And I'm telling you, it's okay.
Yeah. And my inheritance is found in the city of peace.
My inheritance is there, not in Babylon.
Right. And that like you say, what story are we living in?
Right.
Is our inheritance here in this world, in this life, or is our inheritance somewhere else?
So good.
Where wickedness is taken out, lying, stealing is taken out, immorality, sensuality, all these things that make society so toxic and so dysfunctional and disrupts families and creates chaos and disorder and such. Like, this is what our God is about.
Yeah. And just even non-Christians, I would say, because these stories become viral. Like, what happens when we see a community miraculously come together to help with something?
Yeah.
Like, what is it about us that goes, that feels so good? Whatever it was, a community came together and provided this or responded to this or showed love or something. Like, what is it about us to say, oh man, we acted like the stranger was our neighbor, was our friend.
Yeah.
And that's because that's the kind of community we want to live in.
Yeah.
And that's what God is saying. Like, don't you want to live in that community?
Yeah.
Isn't that where you want to be? That's where I want you.
Right.
And that's what I'm inviting you into. But at the same time, remembering, and I'm not trying to make, I'm not trying to be, whatever. I'm not trying to say America is Babylon necessarily, but I'm just saying, like, that's just the ways of the world. The structures and the ways of the world to their extreme is Babylon.
Yeah.
And so we have to remember, where is our citizenship really? And what are we investing in that doesn't mean we don't get jobs.
Yeah.
Like Jeremiah, that's what really hit me that one time I was reading. Like, Jeremiah's like, just get jobs.
Yeah.
Just live, but don't live like them.
Yeah. And it's John the Baptist's message.
Yeah.
He comes to repent and he's like, hey, just stop stealing, stop taking from each other, stop treating each other mean and creating these hierarchical systems. Just love each other well.
Yeah. Don't abuse. If you're a legionnaire, if you're a soldier, don't abuse it.
Yes.
Don't abuse people.
Yeah.
Come on, it's that simple. He's not saying like, oh, you got to quit doing that. Like,
you don't have to come live with me and
Right.
wear the camel's hair and the belt and eat the funky stuff. Just live righteously.
But that in and of itself is a resistance.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is a set apartness.
Yeah.
That I think we were talking about this, a week or two ago, that I don't think we celebrate enough in the church. This person has a job in a cubicle, and let's look at their message, how they're living, because that's where the rubber meets the road, man. Like, as people who have been a pastor and who is a pastor, like, hey, we're going to pay you to have time to sit around and read your Bible and do all the prayer and do all the fun stuff. Not fun, but like,
yeah, you should. That's your job. You should.
Right. I'm just saying.
Good job. Right. Like, but the person who's out, right.
That's what they're saying. You should. All right.
No. I'm saying like you're saying like, duh, you should be able to. Right. This is what you are spending all your time to do. Don't puff yourself up about it.
Right. Good.
Somebody else out there who had the same opportunity could do the same thing with it, but they're living light in a cubicle while still having to be in, and they have to choose every time, be in the world, but not of the world.
Right.
And it's much different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again,
what we talking about, like, is church vocational people, which I'm a part of,
and I've been a part of.
We have it better than we know.
Right, and sometimes it's difficult to realize how, like we're saying, how heroic people are.
Yeah.
Who, they're not getting paid necessarily to sit around and read the Bible or whatever. Like, they're not getting, but then they do it. And then they go into these places that may or may not be hostile to them or the gospel, but they got to live it. And there's There's honor in that.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't. I'm not saying we should,
we should celebrate it.
I think we should
celebrate it, affirm it all day long. Let them know, like, hey, these are my heroes.
Right.
Everyone working 40, 50, 60 hours a week plus, and taking care of families and just being faithful and saying, man, I just love Jesus.
Right.
And I can't wait to go to work and sit down and say some prayers for my coworkers and see God move there.
So good.
Like, yeah.
We're getting close to the end of our time, but I'm going to share one more story.
Let's go.
Along that line. So one of the greatest blessings that my wife and I had while we were in Korea was we were invited to a going away party. So we did a lot of ministry with the military, the Air Force specifically, and they were usually only there for a year because of the we're still at war with South Korea, technically. I mean, North Korea.
Okay.
America's still technically at war with North Korea.
Okay.
A peace agreement was never signed.
Wow.
There was an armistice, but not a peace treaty.
Okay.
So for the military to be in South Korea, you live as if you are at war, which is a whole other sermon.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we would say goodbye to different, just different servicemen all the time. And because we became family. Yeah. Because they're home away from home, and we opened our lives and our homes to people, and it was just a constant sort of. But there was this one sergeant. He was a master sergeant or chief master sergeant. He was like, chief master sergeant is like being a 4-star general.
Okay.
On the enlisted track.
Okay.
Right? Not lieutenant, major, all that's like the officer level. But on the enlisted track, like a master sergeant, chief master sergeant is like one of the highest levels you can attain. And this man invited us to his going away party, which was at a general's house. So, look, you people who listen to this, you may not know me, but I am not. I don't know where all the forks go. I'm good with a McDonald's hamburger. Cool. I can eat nice, but it's just not my thing. But this was a nice dinner. Like, we had to dress up, and like the general, because that's such a hard to attain position in the military, generals will respect these guys. Yeah. Like, they'll honor them. Like, you achieved something amazing to be able to be at this, and I listen to them. So we're at this place, and this guy, who was a major part of our ministry and our life, he proceeds to talk about Jesus. He gets up in front of the top brass of the Osan Air Base, and he says, every morning I have a list of all the airmen and people under me, and I pray for them by name. And he's in front of everybody, just showing his character. And saying, like, you think I'm a great leader. It's not me. It's God. It's Jesus. And just giving this testimony and showing, like, every day, like you're saying, showing up, home away from home, his family's back in the United States, not feeling like not having a pity party about it. No, he is investing in where he is, what he's doing. And it was one of the most, I was like, this is a hero. Like, that's what makes him a hero. Yeah. Obviously we appreciate every service member, whatever, but 100%. But that's heroic to me. Yeah. That is like, oh my God, that's a miracle.
Yeah. You soldiered up twice.
Right. Exactly. And so and again, you don't have to be perfect, but it's one of those things, God, that's, bloom where we are. Like, flourish where you're planted, where you are. And then God will open doors if he's going to take you somewhere else. But we're not promised that. Yeah.
Living like this city that we're talking about, in this place that Zechariah is prophesying to. Let's live like it's here now.
Right. And that's what will last. And that's what will remain. All right, will you pray us out?
Yeah. Father, you are the greatest, better than Ali could have ever said it. You are the greatest. And we ask that you would help us as your people be a people that love truth, love sharing, and love righteousness. Help your church be a city on a hill with so much light. Take the wickedness out of our hearts. Take the wickedness out of our churches. And let us live in unity and connection in your goodness. So be it.
Amen.